Everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So I have an incredible guest today. I'm super excited for you guys to meet him. It is my friend, Will Tucker. He is a four-time vegan bodybuilding champion. So all the men out there are going to be very interested to hear what he has to say. Women too. He works with a lot of women. He is the owner and operator of Will Tucker Fitness. So he's actually a trainer in Arizona, and we will get more details on that in a moment. But Will, welcome, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us.
Hey, Gina, thank you for having me first and foremost. It's been a long time, since we've
Yeah,
been.
it's been a minute since we've seen each other.
Good to see you.
You too, yeah. I know I've been wanting to have you on the show, and there's just so much stuff has come up. It's like, fire hose of news that I'm trying to cover. So I haven't had much time to actually do interviews, which I know everybody likes on the show. So I know everybody keeps saying, do live stuff and, do video. So, but I
Yeah.
just yap at them.
Well, you're here. We're here today, and we're gonna make it happen.
That's right. So first of all, tell everybody where you're located in Arizona, where your studio is.
Well, as you said, my name is Will Tucker, and Will Tucker Fitness, my boutique fitness studio, is located here in Mesa, Arizona, right outside of Phoenix.
Very
So,
cool.
Phoenix,
And you work with men and women, correct?
I do. My target demographic is men and women, 40 years of age plus, to help them with actively aging. That's
Hmm.
kind of my key demographic as I fit that demographic myself. I will be 51 this year. So I got a little bit of knowledge in that realm, I would say, and plus attribute a lot of it to my background in bodybuilding, fitness, nutrition, which I've been involved in the last 15, almost 16 years.
Wow. So I've never asked you this before. When did you actually go vegan? How old were you?
Wow. I was 41.
Okay.
Actually,
So we've
October
been
1st of this year will be my 10-year vegan versary. 10 years.
okay. Yeah. So you and I went vegan at the same time.
Oh, really?
This is so creepy. I know I think I've told you this before, but like our lives track exactly like identical.
Uh-oh.
Like
What else do we have in common?
well, I mean, we're what, a day or two apart on our birthdays?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember
Yeah.
one birthday post, and I'm like, wait a minute, my birthday is the
Yeah, like
same
we're
month this year,
almost
I think.
birthday twins. Like we were born within a day or two of each other.
I
And then
know.
yeah, and then we both had sons when we were younger,
Uh-huh.
and then married another person and had a daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then, tragically, we both lost our mom within what, a month or
Yes,
two of each other. I mean,
I remember that.
yeah, yeah, but I went vegan at 41 as well.
Oh, I not see that. I
Yeah.
never knew. I thought you were like a long time old school vegan, like back in the 70s or something.
Oh, no. Yeah. No, my family had a deli. I worked there. I took roast beef sandwiches to school with me for lunch.
Okay.
So,
So yeah,
yeah.
we do have a lot of parallels. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like that too. I mean, family didn't own a deli, but the whole meat and potatoes Midwest
Yeah.
thing. Definitely.
So that was your diet before. You were full on omnivore, ate a lot of meat.
Absolutely. I mean, for the first 36 years of my life, I guess I was a chronic meat eater. As I mentioned, I'm
Mhm.
from East St. Louis, Illinois, a Midwest town right across the river from St. Louis, which is on the Missouri side. But yeah, that the heartland of America, as they call it, and it's cattle country. It's heavy
Mhm.
meat, heavy potatoes. If you're not eating meat, people think something's wrong with you. Like even because I went vegetarian first before turning vegan, so
Okay.
I was 36 then. And the first time I had to go home and I guess we say come out to my family. They thought something was wrong with me. They're like, wait a minute, you moved to Arizona and now you stopped eating meat? What's wrong with you? So, and it happens in stages. You get the ridicule. I was always the butt of the jokes for family get-togethers, holidays, and the like. And
Yeah.
then it evolved as I started getting more into bodybuilding and fitness into more questions. And now I get the inboxes almost daily, weekly from, not only family members, but a lot of friends from back home too.
Hmm.
How do I do it? What should I do? What's the first step? And I'm like, aha, see,
Yeah.
I had a head start back in the day when y'all were clowning me. I just
Yeah.
started to have this, telepathic connection to the future almost. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was vegetarian 5 years. That happened in 2006, Thanksgiving Day actually, when I went vegetarian. And then 5 years later, October 1st, 2011, I went full vegan.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't have that transition period. I was pescatarian,
Hmm.
if you can even call it that. I ate fish maybe twice a month, for I'd say 3 or 4 months before I went full vegan. But yeah, wow. Okay.
We all have a journey, it happens.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
whatever the way it's meant to happen for you.
Yeah. I tell people, however you get there, just get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You'll never regret doing it. Now, what was the impetus for you going first vegetarian and then making the leap to vegan?
Interesting question. And this may be the first time you've heard this story.
Hmm.
As I mentioned, it was Thanksgiving Day 2006. Now, as I mentioned, I'm originally from the Midwest, and I was working in mortgage banking after college. And then in the mid to late 2000s, everything, oh, not
Okay.
another parallel, right? You're like, hold up,
Yes.
pump the brakes right there.
This is freaky. No, I swear it's like we are brother and sister from another mother. It is so weird. No,
It,
I was in mortgage banking for years before I
you
went
never knew
vegan.
that about you.
This
That
is
is
so weird.
crazy. Yeah, we have a lot of parallels.
Yeah, we were
Like,
separated at birth, I'm convinced.
there you go. That's it. Somehow we're connected. We're like, twins, you know?
Ah.
So when the economy started crashing, the institution I was with, they transferred a lot of workers out west.
Mm,
So came out here. Well, I went to Vegas for a year first in a different role. Then a year later, came to the Phoenix area and reunited with a team from St. Louis that was out here. And of course, for it was Thanksgiving Day, and a lot of people didn't go home for the holiday. So the crew that was from back home decided to have a traditional Thanksgiving meal at one of the coworkers' homes. So
mhm.
you know how it goes: turkey, the trimmings, all the sides. Sat there, fellowship, and eat. And you can't leave without taking this huge plate of leftovers.
Mhm.
So of course, at the end of the evening, I have this huge plate, and I go back to my apartment, and I'm flipping through channels on television looking for something to watch, and somehow I wound up on the National Geographic channel. And there
Mhm.
was I guess call it a documentary about animals being born and the connection between the baby and their mother. And I don't care what kind of animal it was, whether it was birds, fish, bears, tigers, raccoons, whatever it was, there was one thing, it didn't matter the type of animal, the bond between the mother and the baby. And it just pulled me in
Wow.
so deep. And I sat there and watched it to the end. And when it was over, I was like, yo, I've been eating somebody's baby my whole life. And I
Yeah.
threw every piece of meat I had away.
Wow.
Thanksgiving Day 2006, after, returning from a traditional Thanksgiving dinner.
Wow.
Done with meat. Now, I still did dairy, eggs. They slip dairy in a lot of different packaged foods.
Mhm.
Eggs, I still did, and that ever addictive cheese, which
Oh, yeah.
I had to give up. In 5 years, I ate that way. I was vegetarian, just no flesh, not even fish.
Mhm.
I didn't need any type of flesh. Then
Mhm.
October 1st, 2011, as I was getting more into fitness and bodybuilding, I just decided as a challenge to myself, I was going to go the month of October without the dairy, eggs, or cheese. So 2 weeks into this
Mhm.
30-day challenge to myself, I never felt better. My recovery time from my workouts was minimal, if
Wow.
any. And after converting, that's when I finally won my first of 4 natural bodybuilding titles.
Oh,
And
awesome.
after the first 2 weeks, I was sold though. I mean, just the way I felt overall without, cheese and the dairy and eggs in my system, it was amazing. It was like night and day. I mean, not only giving up the flesh 5 years prior to that, but just those last few elements. And dairy is the worst as far as inflammation and mucus in the body. So once I got it started coming out of my system the way I felt, I
Hmm.
was sold in 2 weeks. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is how I was meant to live.
Yeah, I tell people it's like detoxing. I mean, I've never been a drug addict, but I would imagine it's kind of like that same feeling of detoxing, off of alcohol or drugs or whatever addiction.
I was gonna say that's one we didn't have in common. I never been one there.
Yeah.
I thought you were going there when you said detox. Like I was like, no, we don't have that one in common. Sorry, you lost me on that one.
Yeah,
But yeah,
no,
I understand. Yeah, it
neither,
was
but
like a detox, and it only took a couple weeks for me to start feeling it too. And
yeah.
now, as I mentioned, almost nearly 10 years later, there's no way I could ever, 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 ever go back. Did I say ever?
Yeah.
Ever, ever, ever go back to
Yeah.
human animal products.
Yeah. No, I know. I have people ask me all the time, do you ever miss it? And I'm like, every once in a while I'll smell something like an old familiar smell. And I think about what it tasted like, but then I remember how I felt when I would eat that kind of food. And I'm like, no, no way in hell would I ever want to go back to feeling that way and being sick all the time and tired and
Mm-hmm. You
yeah.
mentioned the smell. It's weird because I did the opposite. I was the barbecue king. Like I said,
Yeah.
come from the Midwest in college years. Every day I used to like to fire up the grill and, throwing steaks, burgers, whatever. Now
Hmm.
when I smell it, I smell burning flesh. I mean, and it's been that way for years. It's like my senses have changed, I guess. And
Yeah.
I can't stand the smell of decayed cooking flesh. It's a total turnoff. And it's like, how in the hell was I out there smelling that and, getting, I guess for lack of a better term, aroused or,
Hmm.
made me crave it. Now,
Yeah.
uh, the worst.
Yeah, I think for me it's the seasonings because
Hmm.
you're right. If I, just smell something cooking like, chicken on the grill that somebody's making at a party or a burger or something, yeah, it kind of makes me gag.
Hmm.
But seasonings, different
Uh,
flavorful things. Like my husband was taking a thing of mac and cheese out on a trip with him and some guys. And yeah, that smell did smell good, I have to say. When it was in the oven, it smelled pretty damn good, but
But see, the seasonings come from plants.
yeah.
That's the beauty of it. Plants have, a captivating aroma, and when used, especially as seasonings and things like that, it's
Oh yeah.
all from the earth.
Yeah, you can make it taste just as good, if not better. I made a vegan lasagna the other day, and he was telling people that it was the best lasagna he's ever had. And this is coming from, a guy when we first met, I was a meat eater, grew up
Uh,
in an Italian family, in an Italian deli, cook everything homemade. So he's had my regular lasagna many times before, but
right.
yeah, he thought this was the best one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You replace that mac and cheese with lasagna, vegan lasagna, that is.
Yep. Thank
Nice.
God for Impossible Meat and Miyoko's cheese.
Love it.
So did you have any health issues before you went vegetarian?
I didn't. It was
No.
mainly that conscious aha moment from watching that documentary on the National Geographic Channel. It started the process of me putting my palate beneath, putting my conscious above my
Hmm.
taste buds and my palate. That's what started it watching that documentary. So I never had any health issues. Nothing was ever a call for me to eliminate meat from my
Mhm.
diet. It was a spiritual awakening in a sense.
Okay, so did you feel any different though when you went vegetarian or only when you went vegan?
Oh no, even when I went vegetarian, I noticed a difference. I mean, I felt lighter. I felt more, I had more endurance mainly from
Hmm.
workouts. And as I said, that's when I was kind of in my prime, I like to say, as far as competing. And I was a hardcore gym rat at that point. And my concern, along with, people that I've worked out with, of course, is like, whoa, you're not eating meat, you're going to lose muscle. Because in the fitness world, meat and protein equates to muscle.
Right.
It does.
Yeah.
But so I was
Because science is hard.
right. I was thinking I was going to lose muscle, lose size, lose everything I've been working for. And I only enhanced it. I got leaner when I first dropped the meat. And as I mentioned, when I
Mhm.
went full vegan, I mean, my body just really took more into what would be, a four-time natural bodybuilding champion. And my concerns are actually addressed. And this will show you how long ago it was when I first went vegetarian. I was
Mhm.
at Borders bookstore and found, well, Robert Cheek, his first book, Vegan
Mhm.
Bodybuilding and Fitness. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm not alone. There are people that train hard, work out, and compete and don't eat animal products, well, meat at that point.
Mhm.
And that was definitely something that kind of planted the vegan seed, even though I was just
Mhm.
vegetarian at that point. But it would, be a part of me transitioning, knowing that it could be done.
Yeah.
And of course, after a while, meeting him, and now we're like good friends. So
Right. Yeah. So you didn't know him from the fitness world when you became vegetarian.
I only knew of him as an author. Yeah, I
Okay.
never met him at that point. It wasn't the thing that inspired me. It was the thing that I like to say gave me some longevity and let me know I wasn't a unicorn.
Yeah.
I'm this weird non-meat eating, but yet want to compete person. Because I mean, you hear so much and so much misinformation,
Hmm.
and that's put on by supplement companies, from the protein shakes to
Yeah.
muscle, the beef industry.
The
Beef
dairy
is what
industry. Yeah.
guys in the gym, of course, who've been brainwashed in a sense, and they're shoving it in my face because I don't, I'm this little scrawny non-meat eating guy. It was definitely a learning experience and part of my growth, maturity on my journey, and it led me to where I am today, and it was necessary to go through, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So the biggest, yeah, because you were still like mid 30s when you went vegetarian. So,
Mhm.
I always tell people they think they're old when they're, oh, I'm in my 30s, I'm getting old. It's like, no, you're still a pup. You don't have health issues yet. Wait till you get past 40 and then wait till you especially get past 50. And, you know, that's when all of that really starts adding up and taking a toll on your system, and your body just goes, I can't take it anymore.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, so you were lucky you found it, early enough
And it's
before the
funny.
health issues.
It's funny because, like you said, I felt at that point I was even old at 36. Boy, I wish I could turn the clock back now to 36. Knowing what I
Yeah,
know and feeling how I feel, that was a long time ago. I wasn't old at that point. I was still young.
yeah,
And, well, I guess we're all still young, even, being in the early 50s.
yeah.
It turned out to be more of a mindset and how you
Hmm.
feel more than anything, as opposed to a number that you see on a calendar or something chronological.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, on an epigenetic level, you get genetically younger by going vegan.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I mean, you're literally like resetting your clock and giving yourself extra years. And yeah, it's such a great thing. I mean, I
Oh
hear so
yeah.
many people that they try to justify it with, oh, well, I raise my own animals and, you know, so I'm not getting them from a factory farm, or, you know, I only buy organic meat or grass-fed beef. It's like, again, science. It's
Yeah.
go read the studies. They're out there. There's thousands of them.
Grass-fed, cage-free, you know, those
Yeah.
splash words they like to use for clever marketing. And I'm like, at the end of the day, it's the same result for the animal, and it's, you know, paying the same price on your health.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what splash words or little symbols and, you know, creative marketing techniques that they use to make you feel better about it. At the end of the day, it's the animal that lost its life, and it's probably going to be some repercussions later on for you from consuming it. So,
Right. Yeah. Well, I always say we kill the animals and they return the favor. It's,
karma.
yeah, it's the way it goes. I mean, yeah.
Absolutely.
Now,
That's
do you
it.
get people, because I get this question a lot, do you get people asking you about like the paleo diet or keto?
Yes, and it's weird. You know, a lot of people, I guess, think all these terms are interchangeable in a sense. They're like, oh, vegan, keto. They're like, okay, so you eat this or you eat that, and I'm like, no, it's different than you know, paleo or keto. And I never really understood those diets, I guess,
Hmm.
because most of them are high in fat,
Yeah.
typically saturated fat, trans fats. And I see so many people swearing by that because they're replacing carbs with more fat. I'm like, have you ever considered what you're doing to your arteries? You
Yeah.
know, carbs are your go-to source for energy. You need carbs. I mean, not doing the pizza carbs, whether vegan or
Right.
not.
Yeah.
Whole grains, things
Yeah.
like
We're not
that.
saying French fries
Right.
at every meal.
Exactly. But I mean, good carbohydrate sources, that's your energy. You need those, and people tend to wipe out a whole category or nearly wipe out a whole category, a macronutrient that your body needs to thrive,
Yeah.
and double down on fat and meat and all this other stuff, and it just doesn't equate.
Right.
The long-term effects can be detrimental from consuming you know, your nutrition that way. I'll leave it
Yeah,
at that.
I think Dr. John McDougall gave the best explanation. He was asked about, I think it was the paleo diet when it really started to get really big and popular. And he said,
Mhm.
people love hearing good news about their poor choices or about their bad
Oh,
habits.
yeah.
And
That's
that is
it.
exactly it. People, yeah. I mean, it was like when the tobacco industry, which I talk about, you know, quite a bit on the show, but when they went out and they brought in scientists and doctors that they hired to give
Mhm.
them the backup they needed to say, oh no, cigarettes are great. You know, they don't harm your health. They don't cause cancer. And
Right.
people love that. They kept citing those studies and saying, oh, but they said, I mean, people want to hang their hat on that kind of stuff because it gives them free reign. It gives them the justification they need to do something that they know is probably not right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can usually follow the money trail and the source, and you'll see that intricate connection there. And I
Hmm.
remember even a step further, they used to use doctors in the ads, like Camel cigarettes in particular.
Right.
Put that on here? I guess I did already. They used to use it. My doctor smokes Camel. You know, he used
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Or all the athletes that used to do the commercials, you know, milk does a body good.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
no, milk does a body dead is more like it.
Let me write that down. I'm gonna have to use
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I get the keto and the paleo question whenever I speak at events and stuff. And I always tell people, you know, will you lose weight on it? Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
lose weight, but you'll lose weight switching to any diet. It's just
Yeah.
the nature of the beast, so to speak. And there's ways to put your body into a keto state into ketogenesis without animal proteins. It's about the fat, which, speak on that, because I have a lot of male viewers, and I think they have this perception, as many people do, that when you go vegan, you're weak and you're thin, and, how can you build muscle, or especially bulk? So, share with everybody, like, what's a typical meal for you in a day? And like, what foods do they want to focus on if they're looking to build muscle and bulk up?
Well, for me, I'm a high fruit guy. I like fruit smoothies, and just fruit in its whole state. So that's always one or two of my meals a day, and then usually a meal that's rounded out, kind of balanced, if you will. Let's say, for example, broccoli, brown rice, tofu. I do a lot of stir fries, a lot of the bowls, chickpeas, potatoes, things like that. And you know, there is this misconception that you're gonna lose muscle. As I said, I've walked this path before, and what I found out, because I've worked out with some of the most hardcore meat eaters, gym rats that you can imagine, who are just constantly pounding down 200 and 300 gram protein shakes, eating huge steaks, chicken, a dozen eggs, thinking they need this protein that they're obsessing over. Well, if that's the case, he who consumes the most protein does not equate to bigger muscles. The muscles are going to be more of a derivative of the resistance training program that you're following. You know, protein is essential, but you can obsess over it. You don't need nearly the amount that you think you do. I see people taking 300 and 400 grams a day because they think that it's helping their performance or giving them some type of advantage. And your body only needs a minimal amount.
Yeah.
And the rest, it has to excrete.
Yeah,
It's not
so hard on your kidneys.
absolutely, because your kidneys have to filter it out, and you're doing yourself a disservice. And the thing I really want to mention to your male viewers out there, even at the peak of my bodybuilding career, if I consume 50 grams in a day, that was a high day. I know they're like, oh, get out of here. I take in 200-300 grams a day, 1 gram per pound body weight, all this other math that they come up with that I don't track. I'm not one of those macro, either as a competitor or as a fitness trainer. I kind of like to teach people more of an intuitive way of eating and listening to their body, letting their body do the math, as opposed to say you need X number of grams of protein, carbs, fat. But the thing is, when I did track it, just to see where I was, 50 grams was a high day for me, and I maintained and looked my best off of that.
Yeah.
And I was weighing in, 155 pounds or so at the most when I was competing. And most people are like, how'd you do that? You probably need at least 150 grams per day. And then you multiply that times this and that, all those other outrageous formulas that come up with. And I was just like, no, it's like anything else. I think one of the docs, it might have been Garth Davis that gave the best example. If you're building a house and you're using brick, for example, you're going to use necessary bricks to build the house. But if a big truck keeps coming and dumping bricks, it's just going to become more of a hazard. Right. It's not essential. It's not needed for building the structure. It's just excess. And that's where a lot of people get confused and unfortunately misled because clever marketing again by these supplement companies and the meat industry. But yeah, you don't need nearly as much as you think you do, and you only lose minimal amounts per day. From what I understand, research I've done, your body actually even recycles protein. So
yeah, it holds on to certain amino acids.
Absolutely.
To match up with others. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the key. You said it right there. I didn't even touch on that, but the amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins, are what, male, female, otherwise should be focused on if they're trying to build muscle. Those amino acids in fruit and veggies are chock full of those. They don't come out of a laboratory down a conveyor belt and get in a powder form. I mean, you get those isolated macronutrients, and no, that's all I can say. But
Yeah.
I don't want GNC knocking on my door, shaking.
Yeah, no, and I think there's still, because there was some scientist, I forget her name, but decades ago, I think it was, that she made some comment about how to have a complete protein and that has stuck this whole time. So people don't understand that, no, every single food has all 8 of the essential amino acids in it. A carrot, like you said, broccoli, almonds, avocados, they all have those 8 essential amino acids that we need to build muscle.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I used to bring that up in talks that I would give. And she later came out and profusely apologized for making that statement because people took it and it ran rampant that you need to pair certain things up to have this.
Yeah, like you need to have brown rice with a vegetable to make a complete protein, which is total bullshit.
There you go. Oh, we can talk about that over here. I've been holding my tongue.
Yeah. No, don't hold back.
Bullshit. There you go. I'm feeling better now.
If I don't get in at least one bullshit within my show, people would think like, okay, who are you?
Right.
What did you do with Gina? Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's this myth that's just been perpetuated and people still point to it. And I try to explain to them, no. And if if you have a child that you're trying to feed, they need that 9th amino acid, which yes, that one is only found in certain foods like soy or hemp, things like that. So you want to make sure they get enough of that. But as adults, yeah, it's in everything.
Yeah. And another thing with that, when we're at that point in our life, in infancy, and if you get nursed from the mother, studies have shown that breast milk only contains maybe 5% protein. So when you're at the fastest growth and development stage in your life ever, you don't need all that excess. And people are ruining their health. And that's why you see so many dialysis centers popping up everywhere. It's brutal. I just my cousin lost her husband. I guess got married just a few days before Christmas. He had underwent a kidney transplant maybe a year and a half ago, and it just never improved. And I used to try to tell him, and again, when I used to go home, of course, I'm that weird vegan, go get him some leaves out the backyard, and now reality has come around full circle. Like you mentioned that karma from eating the animals, how they killed you eventually. And right before Christmas, my cousin lost her husband, and both of ones who used to make fun of me. And then when he was undergoing kidney issues and on dialysis, it's like, hey, so what should I be doing? Well, probably avoiding the damn protein, my man. There.
Yeah, there's actually been quite a few studies that have come out in the last few years about how beneficial a plant-based diet can be for kidney patients. People who have their kidneys under strain. But, and if you're watching this, check with your doctor. Will and I, we are not doctors. we are not here substituting for your doctor's advice.
Right.
But do the research.
You got to put that disclaimer in there. Please.
Yeah.
You're a physician.
So you've been vegan now for quite a while. You're still feeling awesome. You and your beautiful wife, you were doing your vegan events at night. I forget. It's been a while since you've had them. I forget the name. What was it?
It's called Zen Nights Vegan Block Party.
That's right.
We did it last Friday of every month in downtown Mesa, where we shut off one of the streets and have all vegan food and cruelty-free product vendors there. And we did it each and every month up until February of last year. So we were forced to shut down March. And here's the funny thing, all summer, we didn't do it. Of course, it's hot as hell in Arizona anyway.
Yeah.
With other reason, we're just like, eh. But then as the numbers started to kind of dwindle down, remember around August, September, And the city was like, you know what? Y'all can go ahead and have one for October. And they're like, how many people you expect? We were like, probably 150, 200 people. And because, we didn't think a lot of people would show up. So
Right.
we did what we normally do. And there was probably about 3,000 people that came out and it
Oh,
got
wow.
pissed at us. And they were like,
Yeah.
no. I mean, yeah, it was some people down there taking pictures and snitching on us, like, look at what's happening down here. This is a super
Oh,
center.
wow.
And we're like, oh shit, we didn't expect all these people to show up.
Yeah.
People were so bottled up all summer
Yeah.
and confined to their house, or everybody's working from home, nobody's going out other than essential stuff. And I guess people needed a release,
Yeah.
and they came out in droves.
Wow.
And we were like, oh shit, where did all
Yeah.
these people come from? And we did that with minimal, advertising too. We're like, oh, we'll just have a few hundred people, and they'll come. We're thinking in shifts,
Yeah.
throughout the evening. But no, it was bananas. City got pissed.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
chill.
would imagine. I mean, people are used to there's Veg Fest events going on every month in normal time. So, sometimes 3, 4 in a month here in California. So yeah, I would imagine people are like itching to get their vegan food.
Yeah, and they showed up, and
Wow.
I had a good time. To say, the city wasn't happy, and
Yeah.
but now they've been in talks again. So last Friday in April, we may be allowed to do one with some
Okay.
very strict rules in place. I mean, we did everything they asked us to do. We put up a lot of signage, had hand sanitizer
Mhm.
everywhere. We did everything that they asked of us. We just did not expect those many people.
Yeah. Wow. And were most people wearing masks?
I would say it was 50-50.
Okay. Kind of
And
like the state.
exactly, yeah.
At about 50-50.
It was 50-50. We put it all out
That's
there.
to Republicans.
We required it of our vendors and
Mhm.
volunteers, and we highly, highly, highly encouraged attendees to do it. And it was a mix. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody got along, surprisingly.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Everybody actually had a pretty
But
damn
it's
good.
all outdoors. So that's a plus.
Oh yeah. So, exactly. So, but I mean, we couldn't really space people. I mean, we spaced the vendors. We did everything we could, but it just became this big ass party, and
Mhm.
oops.
Oops. Now, do you guys have music?
Oh yeah, we always have a DJ, and we usually have either cooking demos. It's an educational component. It's the food product component, like a night market, and
Mhm.
almost like a party component with the DJ. Some people
Okay.
want to shake their booty, go right ahead.
Because it's been a while since I've been dancing.
I
So,
know, and you're the dancer.
me.
I know your event that you hosted, where I actually spoke at with Robert and Vanessa, and you're like, you
Yeah,
know what? We're not gonna do like every other conference. We're gonna have an after party with a
that's right.
party. I was like, wow, this is
I
good.
know. Everybody's like, aren't you tired? I'm like, you know what? I am, but I have been planning this thing and producing this thing for 7 months, and I need to get my groove on. So
Yes, you
I
need to
need to
release and let
let it all
go.
out.
Absolutely.
Yep, we wobbled. We
Yep,
had
we
fun.
wobbled night away. That's a good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
I know. Trust me, I know from being behind
uh,
the scenes, putting events on. It is a lot that goes into it, and
yeah,
you feel you need that release or that break after it's over. And to
yeah.
think, even at one point, we were doing 2+ events monthly, because we did our own, which was in downtown Mesa that I mentioned, Zen Nights, but also First Friday, the Art Walk, which takes place in Phoenix. The
Hmm.
first Friday of each month, Nadia worked out a deal with them where and this one was expanded over several blocks in Phoenix, downtown.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you remember this one, but for about a year, she had
Hmm.
worked it out with the organizers where she managed one of the streets, and she called it V Street. So on that one particular block, it was all vegan vendors. And you think having 3,000 people in downtown Mesa or something, First Friday in downtown Phoenix usually draws about 50 to 60,000 every month.
Oh my
And
God.
one block was a dedicated, one street was V
Holy
Street, which
crap.
is not managed. And that was her contribution to First Friday's Art Walk.
Oh my God.
And that was a big,
Wow.
so we were doing the first Friday of each month, the last Friday of every month. And then you know her, that's not enough. Every now and then she would have a cooking competition or something at the middle of the month, you know, like we had the vegan chicken cook-off, the vegan chili cook-off, you know, look at these creative things. So it's like, can we like take a month off? Because I'm always catching the brunt of it. Everybody thinks it's so smooth when they get there, but you know, I get yelled at behind the scenes.
Yeah, that might happen around here too. Yeah. Yeah, everybody at my event was like, you're so calm. You're so composed and like so relaxed, and you're just like everything rolls right off of you. My family's going, right, okay.
Exactly.
You didn't see her for the last 7 months.
Exactly. And you think, like I said, we were doing minimum 2 a month. So after that first Friday was over, I'd have about a week and a half of calm. Then it's like, all right, it's last Friday of the month. And
now, is that going to start back up again?
What's that?
Will that be starting back up again too?
I'm not sure. I don't know when, but I'm sure it'll come back. It's been going on for decades, and so I'm sure it'll be back eventually.
Okay.
But I don't know if we're still going to be doing V Street as part of it, though. That's not all on that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to get out there sometime.
I know, we got to get you back out here. We had you here for one event, but you know, you were undergoing some things. You came in, you had to get right back home, which you understand. But you know, you got to come out for an extended stay.
I know. I'm always adding more animals, which just takes up more time. So we literally just added another one this week.
Another dog or?
No, another cat. So yeah, there's now 3 dogs and 2 cats in the house.
Wow. Well, see, just recently, I mean, within the last month, we added 2 kittens that Layla wanted. When she's with her dad, they have cats over there, so she had to have cats at our house too. So I adopted 2 twin kittens, literally. Nadia was like, well, we can't separate them. It's a boy and a girl. We can't separate them. So now we have 2 kittens.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, it's a little time consuming. Plus, 2 of my dogs have cancer, so I do a lot. I mean, I've kept them around for years past when the vet said that they would be gone. So it's worth it, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So
fortunately, knock on wood or something, that all of ours are healthy at this stage.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little bit easier, but they still, you know, especially those kittens, you got to watch them. I mean, and they're learning how to jump up on the counter and everything now, and it's like,
yeah.
So if you turn your back, the other one's jumping up, getting in the shit, and stay on the floor. Yeah,
dogs are a lot easier in that way. It's like you only have them on one surface, on one level.
And for a 100-pound husky to get used to 2 little 3-pound kittens.
Yeah.
Feet in itself, getting everybody acclimated. Like, okay, we're gonna have to coexist here.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's great. He's harmless. He wouldn't hurt anybody. And now he was just very intrigued for a while with him. You know, used to kind of go crazy, almost like he's anxiety. But now he's mellowed out, and he's kind of watching them too. Like, what are they getting into?
You just get the sense that your animals are always judging each other, don't you?
Yes, exactly.
Like they just sit back and they're like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
What is that?
Yes, he's very judgmental because you could tell he's at the
Like if they could talk, oh yeah. They'd be letting it fly.
Exactly.
Ah, oh, too funny. I love animals.
Oh yeah. Gotta
But
love
yeah, and I could not have animals until I went vegan.
it. Really?
Like, yeah, oh yeah. Like if I tried to do what I'm doing now with two cats in the house, I would be in the emergency room. Seriously, when I was 16, I had just started driving and I thought I was going to be sneaky and sly. I always wanted a kitten. So I found, we're old enough to remember the penny saver. So I went through the penny saver. I found an ad for somebody who was giving away a kitten. Went and
Uh-oh.
got it, snuck it into my house because I knew my family wouldn't let me have it.
Oh boy.
I ended up having to sleep in another room for like a month because the cat dander is airborne. And I had such severe allergies and asthma. I had to sleep sitting up for a week. Could not breathe. I was like, like I was dying after a day.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to get rid of it. I had to give it to a friend of the family because it made me so ill. I couldn't touch any animals. I couldn't even pet. We had two dogs that lived outside when I was growing up. Couldn't even pet them. Otherwise, my hand, my arm would break out in welts. I mean, I was
Whoa.
horrible. Yeah. Yeah.
And going vegan, like, put the allergies in remission, I guess, or
Yeah, it's, at least for me, it was the inflammation, which I believe is what it is with a lot of people. It was the inflammation and it was just my immune system. So, it just everything triggered me. Like I talked about this in my book. I went to the allergist and when they do the testing, they did like the 12 little pricks on my arm to see what I reacted to. All 12 reacted. So they said, okay, let's do your back. So they did I think it was like 48 different, they broke it down into like different species of trees, cats, dogs, everything. All 48 just lit up. Like I could hardly lay there because every time they would put the drop on me and prick it with a pin, I was like, oh, I was itching so bad. And so I went back for my results and the doctor opens the door super slow and he kind of peers around the corner like he thought he was going to see an alien, or I don't know what he was thinking was going to be in the room. But he came in, his eyes were all big, and he said, "You're a highly allergic young woman, aren't you?" I'm like, "I'm paying you to tell me this? I know this. Why do you think I'm here?"
no shit.
I didn't need a degree. I didn't need to go to medical school for 12 years to figure that shit out.
Right. That's kind of what brought the doc.
Yeah. So yeah, I did the shots for I think over a year. It was maybe even 2 years. They start you off like once a week. You go, they do all the injections to build up your immune system to all of these different things that you're allergic to, and then they break it down. Then you go like every 2 weeks, and then eventually you can go once a month. But I did that twice in my life. Barely helped.
Wow.
Barely at all. Went vegan within 3 months. I was like, woohoo.
Good answer, see?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Nah.
So I couldn't go to other people's houses if they had pets. Couldn't go visit people. I would have to decline invitations all the time.
Wow.
So
You had to live in a bubble.
yeah, people used to tease me. They were like, "Oh, you're like, John Travolta. We're gonna get you a big bubble to live in." Which, anybody who's not as old as Will and I, you won't know this, but just go Google John Travolta bubble boy, and you'll get it.
That's right. I forgot we're in a different demographic with this.
Yeah.
Right. Go look it up. Everything that we said, you have to go Google it. Go
Yeah,
research.
go use the Google machine.
Right. Back in our day, we had these things called encyclopedia before Wikipedia, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, we had the whole set. We had
Yeah,
a whole big set of encyclopedias.
they can't relate to that. They have it right there at that thumb. They're just like, oh, okay, there you go. There's an answer.
Ah,
We had to go
yeah.
look at the card catalog and know this Dewey Decimal System and all this. They have it easy nowadays.
Oh my God, I know. Yeah, this is a true story. Excuse me. So when my son was little, he wanted to get in touch with a friend, have a friend over or something. I said, oh, go give him a call and see if he can come over. Comes back a while later and he has this weird, like puzzled look on his face. And I'm like, what's going on? I don't know. I just can't get a hold of him. Like, why not? Is he not home? No, I don't know. I'm like, what? It's like, it took me forever to pull it out of him. Like, what's going on? He goes, well, I keep calling him and the phone keeps making a weird noise. And I'm like, well, what is it doing? And he goes, it's going like beep, beep, beep. And I'm like, oh my God. It dawned on me, like, our kids have never known what a busy signal is. They've never not been able to get a hold of someone.
That's crazy. Wow.
They don't know what life is like without call waiting or texting or, multiple phone lines. It's like, that was our life growing up. It's like, you got one phone. If somebody's phone is busy, oh, well, you're waiting. You're not getting a hold of them. And then you call back and sometimes they left.
Right.
And there's no answering machine.
It was funny because back in the day when you get that busy signal, you just repeatedly dial the number, dial again, again. You get the busy signal. And you seem like hours of just redial. Yeah, they can reach each other anytime, anywhere. They have so many different platforms and you can get through. Now, if the person answers or not, whether it's text, call, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever these kids, they know how to find each other.
Oh, yeah.
We used to have to leave the house and go walk.
Yeah.
Go a couple of doors down to see if they can come out. And that's the thing that gets me now. These kids want to stay in. Back in my day, we hated being in the house. We had to be out doing something. You want to punish it. When we got punished, we had to stay in the house. You want to punish a kid nowadays, you put them outside.
Yeah.
Let me in the house. I need a phone, an iPad, or something. No. Go out there and climb a tree or do something. Shit.
I know. Oh my God, it's so different. Wow. Wow. Yeah. So you are, we talked about this before we got on the Zoom call, but you are doing one more year at your studio, correct? And do you offer video training?
I do. Well, I don't have pre-recorded videos. Actually, it's live virtual training. I do have that option. So just like we're sitting here able to see and communicate with each other, I offer virtual training now. And it's very similar to Zoom, but it's on a dedicated fitness platform for fitness professionals to train clients virtually. And it's something I implemented, during COVID, of course, because I was forced to shut my doors as well. So yes, I do offer a virtual training, which is live two-way training. Also have online training, which is different from that because you would just more so be communicating via email and you will get little snippet videos of exercises to do. And of course, now that we're allowed to be reopened, I do have in-person training, but I specialize in group training, but I've reduced the group sizes to 6 right now at the most.
Okay.
keep, you know.
So is the virtual training in a group format as well? Like, are there multiple people on at the same time, or are you doing
Yeah,
one-on-one virtual?
yeah, I offer it both ways. I do have a one-on-one option, but it's primarily a group deal too. And you need minimal equipment for it, just body weight, of course, dumbbells, bands, and we make it happen. It's short, quick, 30-minute, moderate to high intensity type workouts. And I do have options where you can pair it on with the nutritional guidance. I don't like to say meal plan per se, because I'm not a registered dietitian to say, here, eat this. But
Right.
we set framework and different parameters with what I like to call nutritional guidance. And
Oh,
we
okay.
kind of steer you in a certain direction based on what your goals are. My insurance won't allow me to just draw up a menu for you.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay. So there's many different ways that people can work with you.
Absolutely. Either
Okay.
in the flesh or just like we're seeing each other.
Okay.
You don't have to hear my voice if you do online. And type out an email and you do different little video snippets. So
Okay. So that's more like if somebody is self-motivated, self-starter, and they want to do it kind of self-guided type of training.
yes,
Okay.
without me yelling at them, right? They want to know what I'm thinking they should do, but they don't want to hear my voice, directly anyway. They can always mute me if it's just a little, 10-second clip demonstrating an exercise. It's like, all right,
Right.
shut up, Will. They can't do it in virtual training. Well, I guess they could essentially turn me off. But if you walk in the door, I got you.
And so your sessions, you'd say maybe 30 minutes?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
specialize in 30-minute sessions. I hate looking at a clock. I like to say
Mm-hmm.
we're finished when we're done.
Mm-hmm.
But, in real world terms, sessions are 30 minutes, but we get a lot accomplished in 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, you can. And do you do it more like almost like HIIT training? Like,
Yeah, it's more of a hit style training. Everything I typically do in either 30 or 60-second intervals,
mhm,
and we take,
quick bursts.
second transitions, yes, and then
Hmm.
take a break. We usually go, depending on if we're doing two exercises back to back, two, three, or four, and depending on how many rounds we go, we take a break and get right back to it. But in a typical 30-minute session,
Hmm.
you're probably doing upwards of 30 to 40 different total sets of exercises. I mean,
Oh yeah,
you're doing a few things, but going multiple sets of it. But we get
right.
a lot done in a short period of time. It's very compact. Nobody wants to spend a lot of time working out and
Hmm.
seem more of a burden on their day. So I like to get them in, get them out,
Hmm.
your life.
Yeah. Well, that's the great thing about HIIT. And maybe talk on that for a minute, because I'm sure there's people watching who are going, what the hell is a HIIT? Does he punch you in the face? I mean, you know, explain to people what HIIT stands for and how it works and the physiology of it.
HIT stands for high intensity interval training. It's two I's, not just one like a punch. So that's the first thing. Second, from an exercise science standpoint, we, as opposed to, let's say you're doing, I don't know, just a cardio session on your own on the treadmill, and you spend 60 minutes on the treadmill, you're gonna, it's a longer duration, and you're probably not gonna burn as many calories, excuse me, as you would in a HIIT session. We kick the intensity up, but it's a much shorter time. So I found it to be more beneficial as far as overall caloric expenditure that you're getting from that short 30 minutes as opposed to dragging it out for an hour.
Hmm.
And my workouts combined with, it's a combination of cardio and resistance training all in one. And as I
Hmm.
mentioned, using the body weight, dumbbells, sometimes resistance bands, and it's fun, fast paced, and definitely effective when,
Yeah.
playing with the nutritional guidance, especially.
Yeah. And can you explain to people the difference? Because I think everybody is so hung up on this from the 90s and the 2000s of, Oh no, no, I've got to just, run on the treadmill or I've got to do the elliptical and that's how I'm going to lose fat. Can you explain to people how weightlifting is beneficial for weight loss?
Yeah. The way I like to break it down to people, especially in the introductory consultation, um, for example, they say women are shaped like apples or pears. I don't know if you ever heard that in
Yeah.
I mean, that can be cruel, but I'm just trying to get the point
Right.
across. So if you're just doing, like you mentioned, treadmill or elliptical or whatever, watching your nutrition and just doing cardio, you're gonna lose weight more than likely, but you'll be a smaller apple or pear.
Hmm.
What you get with resistance training, you're gonna add lean muscle to your frame, which is in turn gonna boost your metabolism. So you're gonna burn calories more effective. And also you're gonna reshape the body. It's just not gonna be a smaller version of what you were before. That's
Hmm.
kind of the way I define it.
Yeah.
You're
Just.
truly going to sculpt the body by adding the resistance training, by
Mhm.
building the muscle. And, most women or some do get concerned about, well, I don't want to be big and bulky like a man. I hear that
Yeah.
all the time, way too often. And
Yeah.
I have yet to change anyone into a man in 15 years of doing this.
Yeah.
Most of them are very pleased with the addition of lean sculpted muscle on their frame. I hate the word tone, but it seems to be a popular term and
Hmm.
get a nice toned look thing, if you
Yeah.
will. I like to say sculpted.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've been lifting weights since I was 15. I think if if it was gonna bulk you up and make you look masculine, I would have been there by now.
Right. Exactly. I mean, everybody has a different frame, and hormones, of course, play the primary role in that. And
Hmm.
men run off testosterone primarily, whereas women run off primarily estrogen.
Right.
And most women don't have the genetic, capability of getting bulky, like they say, like a man from
Right.
lifting weights. You will build muscle, and everybody, like I said, is an individual when it comes to their hormones. Some people may build easier than others, but I have
Hmm.
yet to, like I said, turn somebody into this image of a man or
Right.
from training with me. So I must be doing something right, or I just get people with perfect hormones. I don't know.
Yeah. And when you lift weight, correct me if I'm wrong, when you lift weights and you have lean muscle in your body or any kind of muscle in your body continues to burn fat even when you're just sitting here like you and I are sitting here talking, correct?
Yeah,
Whereas with cardio, you're only burning calories while you're actually doing the exercise. Once you stop, it pretty much, that's it.
correct.
Right.
100% correct. The only caloric expenditure you're getting from doing that long, steady state cardio is while you're doing that activity. As you
Mhm.
mentioned, having the lean muscle present on the body, even when you're at rest, you're burning calories. That's why I was saying it kind of helps the overall metabolic output. And
Right.
it's way more beneficial because you're reshaping the body and it's that added benefit of burning calories while you're just sitting here like we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even when you're sleeping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I always would explain to people, imagine your body is any kind of vessel, a glass jar, and you've got water and you've got oil. And the oil represents fat and the water represents muscle. And you can only fill it up so much with each fluid. So the more water you have, the less oil you have, meaning the more muscle you have, the less fat you're going to have,
Right.
right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's a good example. I've never used that, but that's very good. And that's what I really focus on with clients. A
Mm,
lot of people get obsessed with the number on the scale and
mm,
lifting weights. Let's say you stay the same weight or it barely moves, a few pounds down. but
Mm-hmm.
yet your clothes fit different, you
Right.
feel better overall, and you notice yourself shrinking, but the number on the scale may not fluctuate much. And
Right.
that, like you mentioned, it's about body composition, like you mentioned, the oil to water ratio.
Because muscle weighs so much more than fat does.
Ah,
Yeah.
then 5 pounds of fat and 5 pounds of muscle is still 5 pounds. I used to say that too, and somebody corrected me a long time ago. They're like, "No, 5 pounds is 5 pounds. It's just the how it's made. You know, the
Yeah.
muscle has that lean, sculpted appearance, and it's dense, whereas body fat is just kind of free flowing,
Mm-hmm.
no defined shape or whatever. And that's what you want to really try to eliminate and get those fat stores to shrink and get the tissues to
Mm-hmm.
compress while building the muscle
Right.
tissue. Like I said, they have that, they're denser and they have that sculpted appearance. And
Right.
that's how you can lose, inches and size as far as
Mm-hmm.
your clothing, but scale may not even fluctuate much because it's just
Right.
merely a body composition change. Like if you had that jar that you mentioned filled 50-50, and then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden you put more water in it and less oil,
Mm-hmm.
the shift in the contents of the jar, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what you're getting. You're losing fat, build muscle, but you could still weigh the same because that 5 pounds, 5 pounds is 5 pounds. If I got
Mm-hmm.
5 pounds of feathers and 5 pounds of lead, 5 pounds is
Yeah.
5 pounds. It's just
Right.
one is dense and compact and one is just loose.
Right.
That's kind of my thing. I have weird explanations and analogies for everything. Sometimes people look at me like, what the hell are you talking about, Will?
Well, yeah, I mean, picture it, picture like a bag filled with feathers, or like jelly versus a bag filled with a solid
Yeah.
mass. It totally looks different. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah.
This guy jumped on me one time, long many years ago, and I said, muscle weighs more. They're like, no, weight is weight. If you got 5 pounds of this and 5 pounds of that, it's just one is more compact and together, and one is just more loose and
Yeah. Yeah, because you can have two women who weigh about the same, but if one is lifting weights and working out, they're going to
mm-hmm.
look completely different.
Yep,
So,
100%.
yeah. And their clothes, like you said, their clothes are going to fit different. It's just where it's at on the body and whether it's tight and taut or not. So,
It
yeah.
was one point, wow, somewhere during my training time, it was two ladies that came in. They were like best friends. One wanted to lose weight, and one was, rail thin and wanted to put on muscle. And they
Mhm.
did the same workouts with me 3 times per week. The only differences was what, like I mentioned, nutritional guidance. The way
Mhm.
based on one goals was to lose weight. So we followed a certain path. The other one to build muscle. And they
Mhm.
had this interesting exchange, like intersection, where
Yeah.
one put on muscle as well as added some body weight, and the other lost weight, and it was just like at the end, no, they weighed identical and looked almost the same. Whereas in the beginning,
Wow.
one was, like I said, very, very thin, and the other one, probably had maybe 25, 30 pounds to lose. So
Mhm.
it's
Wow.
interesting how you can sit there and just finagle just the nutritional piece.
Yeah.
Workouts were 100% spot on the same.
Wow. Yeah.
And
And
they got that sculpted look. They were both identical.
yeah, I try to explain to people how significant the nutritional side of it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I asked you guys each this question at my event, but just for the people watching this video, how much do you think, like I believe nutrition is probably 80 to 90% of it and exercise is the other 10 to 20. What would you say in your opinion that ratio would be?
I would push the higher end. I would probably 90%. I always tell people this is just the match. It kind of ignites it. Coming in to work out with me, it just ignites it. If you do the nutritional piece,
Mm-hmm.
that's 90% of it. Coming in here just enhances it, like you mentioned, the quick 30-minute sessions to
Mm-hmm.
build and sculpt. But what you're fueling your body with is going to be critical. A1. I definitely I used to think it was like 75-25, but over my 15 years doing this, in my experiences, what I've encountered, I would say it's more,
Yeah.
85-90% of it. It's what you're doing outside of here. That's why I tell people, if they come in 3 sessions a week, I say, hey, I got you for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you guidance, but what you're doing outside of this door is what counts towards getting to your goal. I'm just going to yell at you for 30 minutes 3 times a week, and we're going to work out. We try to make it fun, no?
Yeah.
But, following your nutritional guidance, following that roadmap to your goal is critical, what you're doing when you're not here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's huge. I would definitely easily say 90%.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I was just talking with somebody who's having problems with his cholesterol, and he was asking for advice, and, they want to they had him on all kinds of medication, and he just wasn't feeling right. He doesn't want to stay on it. And, he said, well, I cut back red meat, but he was still doing dairy. He was still doing chicken and fish, and turkey, or not really even fish, but just like white meat, and I tried to explain white meat has the same amount of cholesterol that red meat does. That's one thing that doctors don't even typically know to tell you because they don't study nutrition at all. But he was saying, well, and I started working out, and I'm like, it can actually be dangerous, because if you've got plaque buildup in your arteries and you're working out, now your blood is pumping harder and faster. That could knock some of that plaque loose, which then gets stuck in an artery or a vein. And that's how you end up having a heart attack or a stroke.
Heart attack, yep.
So, I was explaining to him, that's why, diet, you absolutely have to focus on that first and foremost.
Absolutely. And like you mentioned, going to white meat or whatever, people think, well, that's doing them a service. And as you said, you're still getting dietary cholesterol. People fail to realize that your body naturally produces its own, and then you're adding to it by consuming animal flesh. I mean, it's just no other way around it. You're consuming what that animal produces on its own, and you're adding it in a dietary form by consuming it in addition to what your body naturally produces. And
plus increasing your inflammation, plus, setting off your immune system, the gut bacteria dysbiosis that you end up with, leaky gut syndrome.
A lot of people fail to address is the gut health. I mean, that's a critical element of, health.
Yeah, I believe that is the number one thing. I think that I think that was my main issue. And I was one of those people, even though I grew up with my family's deli and eating the roast beef and everything, once I started working out in high school, because they told us in my high school, they're like, you can do racket sports or you can do weightlifting. Well, all the girls did racket sports, but I was one of those girls, like you were explaining earlier, I was really super thin. I mean, to the point, like I would wear long sleeves when it was 100 degrees out in Palm Springs because I was so embarrassed how thin I was. So I was like, oh, well, I could start working out and build up muscle and, maybe make my body a little bit bigger. And so I did that, and I just fell in love with it. So that's how I started weightlifting. But once I started working out and really getting into it, I changed my diet. I maybe ate red meat before I went vegan, if once a month. That everything I ate was turkey, chicken, and fish, and then always a carb. And it was always, it was always a complex carb and some sort of vegetable or fruit, because people think, oh, well, you just ate really unhealthy before you went vegan. That's why you were sick all the time. That's why you had the allergies and all this stuff wrong with you. No, I was like, people would look at my diet back then and go, wow, you eat so healthy, low fat, like, yeah. But it was that one thing. taking out the animal foods.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's I mean, the science is out there. You know, if any of your viewers are skeptical, question it, or somewhere on their own journey, like we mentioned earlier, Google it. It's
Yeah.
out there. Google that shit. That's
Yep.
what it's saying. It's out there. You'll start to experience, you know, the health benefits of it. It doesn't take long. As I mentioned, I had eliminated all flesh, but it wasn't until I eliminated the dairy, that inflammation driver, in a sense,
Yeah.
mucus laden pus from cows, that
Yeah.
secretions or whatever they use to make these things.
Yeah.
Once I got those out, and it didn't take a long time. As I mentioned, it took literally within the first 2 weeks till I was like, I feel so much different. Get that stuff out of your system, and you can reap the benefits too. I mean,
Hmm.
everybody has their own journey. I'm not one of those vegans,
Yeah.
to sit there and criticize somebody, but I definitely do the research. If you're having health complications or you don't think you're feeling your best, the research is out there, and just take steps towards eliminating those animal products. And I think you'll thank yourself that you did.
I think if men knew how much estrogen there was in dairy, they would stop eating it immediately.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
seriously, it's one of the things that I don't think people realize is that a cow has to either be pregnant or to have just given birth to give dairy, to for
Yep.
them to be milked and for there to be dairy to come out of them. And so their estrogen levels are just astronomical, like a billion times, not a billion, but way, way more than a human estrogen, you know,
Yeah.
level when you've just given birth or when you're carrying a baby. It's so enormous. I mean, I believe 100% that's why so many women end up having breast cancer and
Mhm.
all different types of issues like that. So,
Yeah, it's funny. Guys never make that connection, but
mhm.
yet they'll sit there and clown me for eating tofu. Oh, you can get man boobs from eating tofu.
Yeah, well, they're growing moobs.
I'm still feeling pretty much an A cup at this
Yeah.
point. I like tofu, so I don't. I heard there's even estrogen in beer, and you know, guys love beer, and then they develop this big beer gut. I heard that that's very high in estrogen too. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but yet my little block of tofu is gonna make me have to shop at Victoria's Secret. I don't know.
That's too funny. Yeah, and the other thing is that I don't think they factor in is that anytime you add hormones into your body, it automatically throws off your level of other hormones. So men already do have a little bit of estrogen, a little bit of progesterone like women, but the primary, like you were saying, your main hormone is testosterone. So every time you're eating dairy as a man, you're adding tons of estrogen to your system, which is going to naturally reduce your testosterone.
Absolutely, and
So it's
then
going to throw that balance off.
yeah, you're considering, and you're talking just the estrogen that this mother cow produces.
Mhm.
We haven't even talked about how she got to be so big so fast. Those growth hormones they
Right.
put in there, and the antibiotics, all that stuff, and those are fat soluble. Those antibiotics, so you don't excrete them. They're not water soluble. They stay in your fat stores in a
Yeah.
sense. And,
Not to mention the genetically modified corn and soy that she was fed, which is not a natural diet for her anyway, even if it wasn't genetically modified, and all the diseases that that causes. And
yeah.
yeah, all the
So I got a
pesticides
question.
that were sprayed on it.
So I got a question for all the guys now. Are you scared yet? But yeah, it's just layer upon layer. And I mean,
Yep.
that's the thing about it. Nobody ever puts that together.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's why even before COVID, let's say
Mhm.
BC, before COVID, you know, if you looked at the CDC's website, everybody calls that the go-to source now, but they were saying every 37 seconds, I believe, a person was dying of heart disease.
Yeah, number
Now,
one killer.
but nobody, it wasn't, of course, it's not the same way. It's not contagious. So it didn't get the attention as, COVID, of course.
Mhm.
But that's just as critical. Every 37 seconds, somebody's dropping dead
Yeah,
from self-inflicted in most cases.
yeah, yeah. Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn says heart disease, if you guys are watching and you haven't seen the documentary Forks Over Knives,
Oh, yeah.
100% you need to go watch it today. Cardiovascular surgeon Caldwell Esselstyn said in that documentary, heart disease is a toothless paper tiger that need not ever exist. So, and I've had Dr. Khan on my show before, and he talks about it, the amazing work he does with his patients. So,
oh yeah, Dr. Joe Khan, yes.
Yeah.
He does so much. I mean, there's so many great docs out there. Again, need to research. If you even can include some links to some of these doctors, to the documentary that you just mentioned, the information is out there.
Yeah.
And at this point, if you're not taking it in, you're doing yourself a disservice. And I truly believe, and this may be controversial to some, but this is kind of philosophy I've taken on it, because as I mentioned, the statistics that were there before COVID, I think COVID just really, truly exposed how unhealthy Americans are as a whole.
Yeah.
And that's why we're leading in deaths and everything else, because you had people that were already on the verge of self-destruction in a sense.
Right.
And then you add this other foreign element to it, and it's just instantaneously taking people out.
Oh,
and we got to get it together here in America. We claim to be the best.
Yeah.
We're the worst when it comes to
health. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and this is why I tell people, because I know quite a few vegans who say, if I've talked to them about coming on the show, well, I'm not really into politics. And I'm like, if you want to change the world, if you really want to change the health of Americans, if you want to help people stay healthy, you want to get animal agriculture out of this country, out of the world in general, not just for the health of people, but for the animals, for climate change, because it's the number one driver, even more so than transportation. You can't be apolitical. That's, because I used to be, and that's something that I came to realize is that if, but for our politicians being bought and paid for by big ag, by big pharma, by all of these entities that are literally paying them to suppress the truth, to keep people from knowing really what's causing their illnesses, to keep them unhealthy and buying their product month after month, all of these prescriptions and doctor visits and everything else, there's a connection there, and like I explained to you, that's one of the reasons why I started this channel, is because there is a connection. You can't fix one without fixing the other.
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, especially, in like I'm from East St. Louis, and communities of, with Black and brown people, it runs rampant. Like I gave an example of my cousin's husband. I mean, that was just one. I'm connected in a Facebook group. I've been out of high school, 30 some odd years now. I'm connected in a Facebook group, and every week it seems like somebody else is dying. I mean, let's go back before COVID too. Somebody was either having a heart attack, stroke. I was just losing classmates just constantly. It seems like every, and multiple ones in some weeks, where I would see this because I'm connected, through social media. And in our community, that's always been my number one priority. Once this whole thing is over and the world opens back up, I'm going to get out there and stump like I never have before in communities of color. It's a reason why, even with COVID, they see that, they're like, the Black and brown communities are getting it the worst.
Yeah.
It's because our nutrition is the worst, which I truly believe. Like I say, everything I say is probably gonna be controversial, and people are gonna want to fight me and meet me on the parking lot. And it's okay. I'm 51, but if I can't fight you, I'll run from you. Then you can't catch me. But I really want to get into the inner cities, inner communities, and really, really, really talk to people. Like, oh, you were the one who invited me to LA. No, you were with me when we did the Ralph's tour page.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, I really
Store tours. Yeah.
want to get into those. Yes, how we did the vegan shopping tours
Yeah.
on a budget.
Yeah.
I really, really want to do more of that. Definitely get into the communities as soon as the world opens back up. And I know you're down for doing stuff like that. So if I put something together,
Absolutely. I'm
know,
in.
whether it's here, whether it's over in California, wherever, but definitely where I come from in the Midwest, I can't wait to get back and start shooting off at the mouth and be like, you need to smash that house. But,
Yeah, and and the one of the biggest questions or the most frequently asked questions that I had, and for anybody watching, what we're talking about is their NFL player. Who was she married to?
300-pound vegan.
Yes, 300-pound vegan. Great guy. Anyway, his wife put together these vegan store tours. And so we would take people in groups throughout the stores, throughout Ralph's, and they were kind enough to let us do this in areas of LA where they're basically food deserts, where they just don't have a lot of access to a lot of fresh foods, and especially, or, restaurants that offer healthier options. They typically are surrounded by fast food. And so that's all they eat, and it's cheap. And, that's the other way, like I explained to people, that's another way that politics has this crossover with food, because the reason meat is the price that it is, the reason McDonald's can sell a hamburger for $1 is because you and I subsidize the meat industry with our tax dollars. You take those tax dollars away and put that towards Medicare for all, or something that people actually need and can help them, and the price of beef would be astronomical and people wouldn't be buying it anymore. They would look for alternatives. But I was going to say the biggest question I get is, well, isn't eating vegan more expensive? So I'll let you answer that, because I answer it all the time.
It does not have to be. I mean, as you mentioned, we've done that grocery store tour together with Paige, and we show people how to do it on a budget. And that was probably one of the best events I had, which, it's very heart to heart with the people that, and each time you take a tour, your little cohort, you got beans, rice, things like that you can buy in bulk. You surround it with a few other staples of fruits and veggies. It doesn't have to be. Now, I know a lot of times you get this kickback from people like, well, I don't want to just eat beans and rice. You can be as creative as you want with beans, grains, lentils, potatoes. You will get more bang for your buck in the long run because of the fact you're not going to be, as you said earlier, this customer for life to big pharma.
Yeah.
You're going to pay either them or you're going to pay up front to the people that think it is expensive or want to splurge a little more. You're going to pay one way or the other.
Right.
I would rather make choices on my own at the grocery store than be hitting up CVS and Walgreens every week or bi-weekly to fulfill a prescription that's going to Pfizer, Merck, or whoever.
Yeah.
So you're going to pay one way or the other.
Yeah.
I would rather see you eat healthy and enjoy your quality of life, not be attached to a pill. And like you mentioned, that's what makes this thing political. Whether people want to dance around it or not, we're not talking red or blue. We're talking as a whole, because on both sides, these lobbyists are paid off.
Right.
To, like you mentioned, keep the prices down on meat and things that are causing mass illness in this country.
Yeah.
And it's a trap.
Oh, yeah.
The ultimate way to say fuck you to all of them, I always say, is to grow your own food.
True.
If nothing else, you grow your own. Get your hands a little dirty. Get back to nature.
Yeah.
And that's the most cost-effective way to do it.
Yeah.
You'll be learning an art, something that you can pass on for generations. Get get your community together, do a community garden. This is one of the things I really want to go into Black communities and talk about. Getting back to what my grandma used to do, you know, get your hands dirty. And I didn't understand it as a kid when she used to plant her garden, and I hated it. You know, it's just raw vegetables.
Yeah.
I want McDonald's, you know, typical kid.
Yeah.
But that is the ultimate fuck you to the system. Grow your own food as much as you can, whatever is sustainable possible. Get the community involved, make it a community group effort where everybody is able to eat for little or nothing, because it's just mainly seeds and maintenance time that's going to go into it. And, you know, hit up the grocery store for the other items that you may need that you aren't able to plant or grow, or maybe, you know, out of season, or however it works, whatever, you know, climate or area that you're in.
Yeah.
It's not have to be this way. It just doesn't. And all that grain that you mentioned earlier, they're feeding to the cattle and, you know, animals. It's people out there that are hungry that can greatly benefit from that, that are, you know, pretty much starving to death, you know, are in unfortunate positions, whether they're houseless right now or hungry. Feed the people. Stop pumping up these animals to feed to people and make people ill. But yeah, like you mentioned, there's no dancing around the political aspect of it. Whether it be,
not when you have, you know, not when you have people who work in the government, who then, when they're out of the government, they go and work for those same big companies that they were supposed to be regulating. I mean, like right now, we've got Tom Vilsack, who Biden put in to head up the USDA, as he did under Obama. The guy's an industry shill. You know, he's not going to do what's right for us, because when the Biden administration is over, he's got to figure out where his next paycheck's coming from. And if he doesn't treat those companies right and that industry right, what is he going to do for a living? Where is he going to make his next, you know, multi-millions and get a yacht or whatever? I mean, you know, he was one of the big proponents of genetically modified corn and soy, which is fed to the animals. So yeah, people who say, well, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to think about politics, like, well, then you're never going to change the system, because that is at the core of it. That's at the root of it. And if you you're going to get to money. So you get the money out of politics, and people in this country would be a lot healthier.
Yeah, people, I think, mainly just see it when they think something's political. They just think Republican, Democrat.
Right.
All of a sudden, that's what comes to mind. They don't understand that we're enveloped in political issues all day, every day.
Yeah, everything we do.
Yeah. It's just awareness, or you're aware that this is part of the political system.
Right. Yeah, so, every pothole you hit driving to and from work, that there's a direct line right back to the politics in your city, whether or not they're using the money right, your tax dollars properly, whether you've got the right representation in there who actually gives a damn, or are they just there to make connections, and like the guy who represents my district so that he can buy up land cheaply and, you know, make millions.
Another show.
I used to be that way. I was totally apolitical, never talked politics, didn't want to talk about it. And then when I started, actually what got me really thinking about it more, and the true connection was Ocean Robbins and their Food Revolution Network and their summit that they do, which is actually coming up in the next couple months. It's a free, I don't know if you've ever watched it, but it's a free online, I think it's a 7 or 10 day summit, and they have multiple speakers every day.
Oh, wow.
But they cover all different types of topics, but it was my first real like aha moment of, oh my God, okay, this is why we have all these milk does a body good commercials on TV, because the government is funding them. The government is paying for them to get people to drink more milk to help the dairy industry. You know, it's why they started the pork is the other white meat, which it's really not. It's a red meat. It just looks white and it's horrible for you. So yeah, it just started me putting two and two together.
And they like to get you when you're young too, because the dairy industry has a strong hold on schools, you know, as far as
Mm-hmm.
what goes in school lunches. So
Yeah.
it's a mess all the way around, and it's all
Yeah.
political. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no sugarcoating it. It's all political.
Yeah, yeah,
But
and that was the same thing. They had as I understand it, I believe they had a surplus at one time. I might be thinking of sugar, but they needed to do something with it, and it was a way to help out the dairy industry, and so that's why it's served with every meal in school. Not because it's good for your kids, but because they want to prop up that industry.
yep. And the biggest slap in the face I've seen is where like you mentioned, having that surplus is where you see those farmers dumping the milk. It's like you
Yeah,
didn't, okay, let's just not bullshit. You didn't literally rape these cows
right.
for their secretions, and then you turn
Hmm.
around and dump it like
Yeah,
that. It's just,
yeah,
it's a whole mess all the way around. I mean,
yeah,
the system is so fucked up. Let's just call
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why I tell people, we got to pay attention. You know, even if you don't want to get into politics, you've got to at least pay enough attention that you're putting the right people in there, progressives preferably, who don't take money from corporate interests. They're the only ones in Congress who don't on either side of the aisle. And they're the only ones who, therefore, are going to work in our best interests.
Mm-hmm.
So, in your best interest. So,
Yeah, it's got to be a way to take this thing down, and maybe that's the answer if we get more progressives
mhm,
in. But that's a whole nother battle, you know.
yeah,
I'm sure you know as well as I do. But
yeah. Yep, they're going to fight it every step of the way because they like that they like that cash.
oh yeah, absolutely,
They
absolutely.
like that corporate cash.
And that's what keeps us in this jacked up two-party system. It's
Hmm.
like they're just playing ping pong with us. One
Yeah.
side is going to fuck us this way, the other side's going to fuck us that way. So it just depends if they like it from the front or doggy style. I mean, basically, let's for real. I mean, seriously,
Yep. Yeah. No,
seriously.
it's true. And, you know, and it is, and I hate to put this off on the people, but it is because there are so many people in each party who don't see the reality of their own party. You know, it's like they vilify the other party, but they don't realize that there is corruption, there is rot in their own party. And that's, you know, I try to get through to my liberal friends so much and saying, like, stop voting based on personality,
Yep.
start voting based on policy,
Mm-hmm.
because you can like someone and they can be funny and fun and you know you think they're tough or they're, you know, saying all the right things, but what are they voting for or against?
Yeah.
What are their actual policies? They can put on kente cloth all day long, but if they're just going to go out and take money from the police unions, then they're never going to be for change.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
You said it. You said it. That's the
Yeah.
truth.
And I keep saying it and I keep saying it. And hopefully someday I'll get through to some of these people.
It's a mess, but I
uh,
can only hope that things will get better and people will start to, you know, awaken
yeah.
within. So, get people like yourself, and whenever the world opens back up or through your YouTube channel, just get people to realize what's going on. And if people start doing the research, maybe they'll be shocked enough to start this revolution in a sense and
Yeah.
get things better. Will it ever happen in my lifetime? I don't know.
Yeah.
All we can do is hope.
It better. It
Yeah.
better. I can't go to my grave thinking that it's, you know, it's still happening. You know, I see incremental change. I see little shifts. I mean, you know, you see some people starting to take over in the Democratic Party, more progressive. So I do have hope, but it's a battle because, the progressives are fighting not just the Republicans, they're fighting their own party. They're fighting the establishment Democrats that don't want things to change.
Yeah.
So, it's why they stomped on Bernie twice.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yep.
So,
Crazy.
well, we have run the gamut, and I kept you way over from what I promised you.
We just sitting there talking about all kinds of stuff.
I know. We did almost 2 hours. I just looked at the clock and I went, oh my God.
It was like we were catching up, like, hey, what you been up to in 2020?
I know. Well, we got to do this more often.
Definitely.
We can bore people talking about all of our old day stuff, slinkies and pet rocks.
Right. Taking it there now. That's nostalgic.
Oh God, we're old. But we feel young, so go vegan.
That's the beauty.
Well, thank you so much, Will. Thanks so much for taking so much time out of your day.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's my pleasure. I love doing things like this. Anytime I can get a platform to run my mouth and pop off my nonsense and build up my fan club of haters, I'm all for it.
Well, you're welcome here anytime to do that. So
Definitely. I appreciate it.
of course. So where can people find you if they want to work with you? What would they do?
You can find me on Instagram if you're on there at Will Tucker Fitness, also on Facebook at Will Tucker Fitness. And I also, everything, the links are on there. They'll, get you in the right direction and get you to my platform as far as submitting a questionnaire or kind of a pre-inquiry.
Okay.
So the links will definitely get you that are provided on both my Facebook and Instagram platforms.
Okay. So they follow that link on either platform and then fill something out and then you'll contact them.
Right. Kind of a pre-screening or interest form. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yes, go work with Will. He will sculpt you. He'll slim you down if you need that. He'll get you all shapely if you need that.
Whatever you need. Well, most things that you
got what you need.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Will.
I gotta say it one time before we leave.
What?
Damn, Gina! I don't know why that clicked, like from back in the day watching Martin.
I know. Yeah, I love that show. She was like the first Gina I ever saw on TV. I'm like, oh, I have representation.
Right.
It was always one of those names, you go to like Disneyland or whatever, you're looking at the keychains like, nope, no Gina.
Nope, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, now it's more common, but back when we were growing up, I'm like, I hate my name.
Oh, no. I don't like it, Gina.
Yeah, most people, my friends just call me G.
Yo, G, what's up,
Yeah,
G?
they do. They just call me G. I have one friend who I did a business with, and so she started calling me G Money.
There you go. That's straight off the block. G Money.
So yeah, we got to get together.
Yeah, definitely.
Shake our groove things.
Definitely. When the club's open, I'm there. You tell me where to be.
Okay.
All right.
Now I got to do it. I'm itching for it.
Yeah, I think so. First, I wasn't going to the club by choice. Now I can't go. So it's like, I need to go to the club just once. I'm probably going to fall asleep by 10 o'clock, but I'm going.
I know, yeah. We got to get in early.
Right. Get in early, get out early.
Leave right when the, 18-year-olds are showing up.
There you go.
Oh, God. Well, this was fun.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll definitely do it again soon.
Absolutely. Let me know when. I'm here.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much. Tell Nadia I said hello.
Definitely will. I will.
Yeah. All right. You have a great day, great week. Take care of yourself.
You too. We'll catch up soon.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds perfect.